Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. The info for the next banner is here, that is Canna and Megu. Knowing some of you might be already broke, after spending tons of Pyroxene and tickets on the Fest banner. These banner are skippable. However, when these two regular banner is released, you will get a total free 100 pulls, 10 pulls per day, can be stacked. However, just like usual the free pulls cannot be carried into next banner. That being said, you need to spend those 3 pull before it expired. However, which banner that are worth to spend these 100 pulls on? The answer is Canna. Canna appear as special piercing damage dealer. She have ability to inflict state called accumulate damage into one enemy with her X skill. The state will start accumulating damage dealt from the ally, and when the time is running out, this state will deal damage based on how much damage that are accumulated. Keep in mind, accumulated damage cannot deal critical strike, and has maximum damage. Meaning that, the accumulated damage will deal the same so on and so forth. However, if there are no allies attacking the enemy with accumulate damage state, the state will only deal 1 damage. So, how do you increase the damage cap of her X skill then? Well, as it says depending on the amount of her attack, increasing gear, level, and stars, could increase her accumulate damage. However, the third slot which is the what she wore seems to be useless, knowing the fact that her X skill cannot land a critical strike. In another word, increase watch tier could be ends up wasting resource. So, be careful with that. I'll let you know later if the what she wore could do something to her. Moving into her basic skill. Every 30 seconds, deal damage into one enemy and reduce their defense by 14%, that lasting for 20 seconds. I don't know what to say, that amount of defense debuff is barely noticeable. Her enhanced skill and enhanced skill plus, increase attack. This skill can help her X skill to deal more accumulate damage into the enemy. Last is her sub skill, increase piercing damage of all allies. This sub skill is better than increasing attack of all allies. However, only works for piercing damage student against heavy armored enemies. Other than that is useless. From overall, Canna isn't actually best unit and quite niche to use. I do know that she is used for banner or hot torment difficulty. However, if you want to clear these boss on insane or lower, then you don't need to build Canna, only have her is enough. However again, if you're beginner or starter that lacking a piercing damage dealer, Canna can help you to damage the heavy armored raid boss with her X skill. Or help her piercing ally with her sub skill. So, she is nice to have from the free pulls, okay to build only if you lacking piercing team. And her utility is pretty much niche. If you want to build her, only do it if you confident enough to clear torment difficulty against banner or hod later. And then leaving no choice to use Canna as piercing main damage dealer or supporter. For piercing main damage dealer, you take these 3 skills and then max it for maximum accumulate damage on stock stars. Increasing basic skill level and stars is optional, and be careful as doing this could ends up a waste effort. And the other build is to use her as passive piercing support. Well, you just only need to build her sub skill level into max. Sure, don't forget a level and first or second gear slot to be maxed as well. Why not the third slot to be maxed? The watch increasing critical rate and critical damage, plus HP on tier 6, and well, Canna X skill don't deal critical strike. So, what's the point of critical rate and critical damage if she never deal critical anyway? Unless if some miracle happen. I don't know. Let's just move on into another regular banner. That is Megu. Megu's weapon is quite interesting. You see, we got student that their basic attack can do circle area damage. Now we have student that can deal fan shaped area damage. She is appear as explosive area damage dealer and special as her defense type. Her X skill, deal damage to all enemies within fan shaped area. It's kinda bad to be honest to look at, and I can't say much of it. If you asking if she did any good against swarm enemies, I totally had no idea. Against trash mob however, yeah she is good to be used as secondary explosive formation team. Her basic skill, set area on fire that capable to dealing damage over time by small amount that lasting short duration. Again, I had no idea how effective it was. Her enhanced skill and enhanced skill plus increase attack and defense. These two could be good for her. This could increase her damage dealt and survivability at the same time. However, not sure if this does affect significantly to her gameplay. And last is a sub skill. When she attacking and reach 50 hit, she recover her own HP by 50% of her healing stats. Surprisingly, this skill really good and becomes spammable when she attacking swarm. Just take a look at this, she almost non-stop recovering her own HP. Mostly player ignore this student knowing how bad she is, or perhaps her power is behind the paywall. I don't really know, and that's all about Megu. From my experience, she is somehow or somewhat far from usable for most player. And best I could say, avoid any investment on her. I know some of you might be yelling that she might be useful on Gregorius. Though on Insane, the boss uses Mystic, or Blue, as its attack type, so bringing Megu can resulting insta-kill. And extreme or lower difficulty, nobody bother themselves to try Megu in there. For the build, it's best not to do it for now. And there you have it, among these two regular banner, Canna banner are the one that worth to spend all the 100 pulls. Although both banner are considered a skippable, and that doesn't mean you should keep the free 100 pulls, thinking that it can be carried over into the next banner. So spend it on Canna's banner since she has few utility rather than Megu. And that should be all.